All righty, yes sir. Welcome aboard. Time to have some fun. Let's see what we can get. Get as much as we can of the shot. There we go. Hope you all are doing well. It's a beautiful morning. We told you we'd be on today at 11 a.m. to start off our podcast. Now, I haven't gotten all the technical issues yet hammered out. We will have the audio version of it after this, obviously, because we're rolling on all of this, and we appreciate all of you out there, as always, tuning in. Plenty of things to talk about, and I know that listen, I've been as frustrated as anybody out there, obviously, with everything that's gone on, and, you know, the situation with Onside Radio, which, by the way, we're not done yet. There could be options for us out there. So hopefully we will be able to, as they say, what's it called? Hopefully we'll be able to get this restarted. We will have some... I met with a group last week. We're going to meet with two more groups this week, and hopefully we'll find something out if we can get the right group, which is very important because I can't do what I was doing, 8,000 jobs. But if we could find the right group, I think it's something that I would definitely try again. You know, it's tough, folks. You know, it's just tough. I'm trying to get everything situated here with the show and get everything live and going, and see if we got, there we go. We got the chat board going. Okay, now we got it. Oh, and I got my volume up, which is no good. So let's turn that volume down. So I've got the chat there. I see Matt and Ray and Ian and Herman and Lisa and Steve, and so I appreciate all of you out there, as always, for tuning in and supporting the show every way that you can. Always appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button, because the like button is extremely important for the algorithms, as they say. That's how it gets around to more people, and we get more support, and, you know, we build it all up again. And I'll tell you this, I'm excited to restart the podcast. As you all know, those of you that follow us every single day, we had to cut it off. And that's because I had to focus more on Onside, and my voice was giving out, quite frankly, okay? And now, obviously, you can hear my voice is completely back, which, wait a minute. Okay, there we go. My voice is completely back now, so I am, you know, now I'm back to normal again. I can actually do multiple shows if I had to do multiple shows. So if we do get Onside, well, it'll be called something else. I already have it in place. But if we do get it going again, I'm not stopping this anymore. I'm not doing that. I'm going to have the podcast, and I'm going to keep it going, because it's, I got to tell you, it was kind of frustrating while I'm doing Onside, and our podcast numbers. I haven't done a show in months, almost 6 months now. 5 months is what it was, because it was the end of December when we last did some shows, and it's thousands of downloads every single month with no new material whatsoever. And our subscribers have gone up. We're almost at 3,000 now. I think when we stopped the podcast, it was like 2,700, and now we're at 29 something. We're approaching the 3,000, which I got to lose this weight quickly, because I promised that I would wear a Culture Club shirt if you guys got to 3,000. So, you know, now let's work it even higher than that. Now let's get past 3 and do a lot more. So I appreciate all of you out there, as always, whether you're chatting, you're super chatting, whatever it is that you're doing, however you're going to reach out to us. Twitter is another way that you can reach out to us. On Twitter is always very important, another way to reach out to us and connect. And I see there's a lot of people. Pipe Man Slim is in. Thomas Flores is in. Julius Miami. Devin Jordan. John Rouse is in the house. No, Bill is not back, John. Bill needs stability, okay? And so that's the key here, is stability, and he's got a job that is stable right now. This has been unstable. So until I can actually create a stable environment, right, there's no way I would bring Bill on. You know what I mean? Bill's been kind of, he's talked to me a couple times about, hey, let's get it going. But obviously I didn't have the voice. And now he's working at this time. So it's not something that we can do. Not yet at least. Okay, so not yet, but we can do it. But at the moment, we have to create a stable environment. So once we create a stable environment, then I can have, Bill join me. And at the moment, I can't. Listen, right now, we're not piped in directly. I'm going right off of the iPad for the audio, for the video version of it. The mic is being recorded for the audio podcast that we'll slice up after, and we'll post it all over the place, and you guys can find it on SoundCloud and iTunes and Spotify and all that stuff like you used to. So we'll have all of that at least going on for you guys. But anyway, so we will get everything going again. I will not. We got to build this thing up again, and obviously, because you guys have been so amazing supporting this podcast for the last couple of years. John Rouse sends in, the super chats are starting to come in now. John Rouse sends it in. Appreciate you, John. Thank you very much. Drew Boo sends it in also. He says, LFG, pay X, guarantee money, and keep it moving. We in win mode. Thank you, Drew Boo. I appreciate you. Thank you, John Rouse. Appreciate you, as always. So once we create that kind of environment, I can bring Bill back and we can figure everything out. So I hope you guys are all doing well out there. We got a bunch of things to talk about today. We get to get back to talking sports on a daily basis, and we'll have some fun. And listen, now that I've got a little extra time on my hands for the time being until I am. See, the sad part is, the twisted part is, not because, you guys know I'm brutally honest with you guys. Obviously, I'm meeting with several groups. I met with one last week. I told you I'm going to meet with two more this week now. And if we could get the proper ownership for the new version of Onside, then that'll be fantastic. And if not, I've got a couple of other irons in the fire that are not in this business. But one of them is kind of tied to the business, but not really like on air every day, things like that. It's something completely different. It has some connection with media, but it's completely different. Although I will admit it's a really exciting option. I gotta admit, because see, the beauty is I can still maintain this show. And that might be, the second half of this. Personally, I would love to continue with Onside and continue what we were doing, because we were headed in the right direction in a big time way. So it's just one of those deals where it kind of bothers you, that you're not able to finish the job. You know what I mean? So if I can finish the job, great. If I don't, the other option actually is very interesting for me, and it's a new challenge, and it should be a lot of fun. But it will allow me to maintain this. That's the beauty of it, and I can do this wherever I'm at in the world. So it doesn't matter, because it might be, this job might actually take me different parts of the world. Actually, the Great Fear is chiming in on the super chat. Thank you, sir, on the super chat. Haven't been able to do that in a while. Haven't had the voice to do that in a while. So thank you, Great Fear, for the super chat. So I appreciate you. George says, good to see you, Big O. Got the notification. That's a good thing. King Short is in. Brutally honest, Big O. Thank you, sir. Thank God for an adult podcast. Okay. So Drew Boo says, the Great Fear says, support you no matter what. Best show around, period. Thank you, Great Fear. Appreciate you, man. That's very nice of you. Matt Walker says, have you read about the son of Michigan coach who said his dad covered up about abuse at Ann Arbor? Yes, you're talking about Bo Schembechler, and I believe it's Matt Schembechler, I think is his son. Maybe I got his name wrong. I apologize if I did, but apparently the kid was abused by one of the doctors there. I think it was a doctor, if I'm correct now, and And apparently Bo did not want to hear anything of it. And, he didn't want to hurt the football program. And he ended up like punching his son in the chest and all. It's just, this is like you started me off with a bombshell type subject on this. But I was talking to my wife about this, how we grew up in a different world. And what I mean by is anybody that's, I would say, probably over 45, maybe, and over, maybe 40, you grew up in an old school style. And things that would happen to you, it was more about you overcoming it on your own and kind of keep it quiet, even if it's abuse. It was just one of those things that you probably never talked about, because you know how many millions of kids who are now adults are walking around with abuse stories and they never shared it with anybody whatsoever? And there's a lot of people. And so we grew up in a different world. Your dad could tell you, you're a worthless, turd. And then 5 minutes later, give you a big hug and you forgot all about it. In today's world, you can't do that with kids. It's just, it's like, they're like elephants. They won't forget it. You affect them forever, and I'm not saying what one was right or one was wrong, or I'm just telling you the way the world used to be. And the way the world used to be is completely different. You could get in trouble in school, right? And you didn't care what the principal said. You didn't care what the assistant principal said. You didn't care what the teacher did. You didn't care if she put you in a corner. You didn't care if she put a dunce's cap on you. You only cared if they called your parents, right? And then you took an ass beating at home. Well, nowadays, they don't beat you in the school. Although there was a school in Central Florida that was still paddling, right? I think the other day, I think the mother was right in front of the child while the child was getting paddled and everything. So anyway, they don't paddle you pretty much in school anymore. And then they don't beat you at home either. You know what I mean? Everything is different the way things are. And the way and again, I'm not saying it was right, okay? Hey, listen, 100, 200, 300 years ago, the entire world was completely hateful and racist. Racist to something, hateful for something else. Whatever it was a different world. Nowadays, we still have hate, we still have bias, but there's less of those people. Whereas probably everybody used to be. And so it's that world that Paternal grew up in, and that world that Bo Schembechler grew up in, it wasn't a world where they took people's feelings into account. It wasn't a world where you actually worried about the long-term damage that happens to a child. Or, listen, when we were kids, you grabbed some girl's ass and they just kind of gave you like a smack or something or whatever, and the teacher would tell you, move along, just keep going. Or they wouldn't even, it wasn't even something that you would get sent to the office. Okay? I mean, everything has changed. Again, not saying it's right. I'm definitely not saying it's right. I'm just telling you that the ignorance that Bo Schembechler had and Paternal, which it's ignorance to a point of criminal, okay? Because that's what Bo Schembechler now, if this is true, he is a criminal just like Joe Paterno. And everything they accomplished on the field doesn't mean jack shit, right? Because they were pieces of shit. Because they were covering up people that were sexually abusing kids, okay? So this is unacceptable at every level. But that was more the norm. It's like, we want to hide all these statues. God, I can't believe I'm getting into this conversation right from the get-go of this show. We want to hide all these statues and all this stuff from 200 years ago and 300 years ago and 150 years ago. And, well, because this person was racist and that. The entire world was racist in those days. I mean, it's just, what are you going to do? All those people thought that that's the right way. Remember, we came from cavemen. So you can imagine how animalistic they were back in the day. right? It's kind of like that whole history of the world. You club the woman and then you drag her into your cave. You know, we don't do that nowadays. Only criminals do something like that. You know, it's just we've evolved. And in those days, that probably happened a lot, not just with Paterno and not just with Schembechler, where they were protecting the football program over the kids. It's disgusting. You know what I mean? But it was a different world then. That's why we say a lot of times, and for you youngins, you know, you won't understand this, but Archie Bunker and George Jefferson and Red Fox and Don Rickles, they can't survive for 5 minutes in today's world. Because it was a different world that they were in than what we're in now. You know what I mean? And so, yes, I saw the Bo Schembechler story, and it's disgusting to its core. And, you know, what more can I tell you? But the one thing that I will tell you is I'm not surprised. I'm just not surprised. Because those of us that grew up in that different world, we saw it firsthand. We lived it firsthand. And we grew up with the racist grandfather that we all knew was racist, and we just laughed it off. Right? And that could be Bo Schembechler or Joe Paterno, that racist grandfather that used to be in your family. You know? It's just the way it is. It's just everything has changed. And again, I'm not condoning anything whatsoever. Please don't even try to cross me on that. I'm just telling you the truth about how life used to be, how things were, and why it is this way. You know what I'm saying? And so now it's just completely a different world, and it's sad. So, you know, Big O spitting facts. I'm just, you know, it's just life, man. It's just life. I'm going to club you, baby. That's what King Short says. Brooklyn Rob says, hello, Big O. Welcome back. You were missed. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Brooklyn Rob. I'm sure you took advantage of a little stellar during these last couple of weeks in the consolidation period. Notice how, just to have my little crypto moment here, notice how now Elon Musk is now saying, oh, you know, once they fix their issues and the Bitcoin miners are all clean and we'll accept Bitcoin again. You know what I mean? It's just JP Morgan now is not only do they have Bitcoin for their portfolios for their customers, now they want to take in Ethereum. You know, all this FUD that was out there. And people were just buying into it. And I feel bad because let me tell you, there's a lot of people that panic sold and they bought Bitcoin at 50,000 and 55 and 60. And then they sold it now in the 30s and the 40s and they lost their money because they think it's going down to the 20s and the 10s and it's going to, and it was never going to bottom out, man. It's never going to bottom out. And good companies are good companies. They're going to be around for a long, long time, you know? So if you invest in good companies, you'll be fine. And Bitcoin will bounce back. It's already over 40,000. And anybody that knows after the big drop, if you stuck to your guns, you're seeing your portfolio come back. Okay? After it went down about 50, 55%, you've gotten back about 30 of it. 25, 27, 30, it all depends, right around there. I know I have. So it's just, what I did was, you know, and wish I could buy more, but anybody that, so many people are going to get so filthy rich right now because they took advantage of these dips and were able to buy a lot. And when it bounces back, they are going to make a ton of cash. So, yeah, I'm with you there. So, Brooklyn Rob, I'm sure you took advantage and got a little more stellar in your life. Hookah Tube is in the house with a super chat. Thank you, Hookah. What is it? Hookah Tube. Thank you, sir. Welcome back, Big O, he says. Thank you. Hookah Tube 75. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for the super chat. What else do we have here? Big Rig is in. Game over 954. Everybody said it was never going to 10K again and it dropped to 8K. Just ignore people. Exactly. And what you do if it goes down, buy. because it's going to explode back up again. You know, your Cardano is going to explode. You know, your V-chain will explode. Your Stellar will go way up. Your Decentraland will climb. Relax. It's going to happen. Polygon Matic, explosion. Relax. It's all going to come back and strong. Polkadot will come back strong. You know, Uniswap will come back strong. Relax. Take it easy. And by the way, speaking of crypto, our crypto show, we are working on it right now, Dono and myself and Abel, and we're kind of working out the kinks in it over the next week. So we should be starting in the next week, I would say week and a half, we will start our crypto show, and that'll go a couple times a week. We'll probably do 2 or 3 videos a week. They won't be hour-long videos or anything like that. They'll be a lot shorter, but we definitely will be doing a lot of shows on the crypto side, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, things like that, and addressing all kinds of, different crypto issues. Maybe there'll be some that will go a little longer, but it'll be several throughout the week, and we'll keep you updated on what's going on in the crypto world. So make sure you follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, and on YouTube. It's Crypto Bro Show, and no W at the end, okay? SHO, Bro Show. So no W, all right? There you go. So appreciate all of you out there as always. Plenty of things to talk about in the world of sports. I guess I don't have to address the what's it called? The Schembechler story already. Let's first start off with a little Miami Dolphins. All right? And when we talk a little bit about the Dolphins, first of all, let's address X-Man. X-Man is not in camp, and not surprised, right? Because the report was from Armando Salguero a couple months back that X would want a new contract. And we've talked about this in the past, and we've got, videos and audio clips right on this channel from, our time when we were talking about this before it happened. And listen, this is the way I look at the entire X situation. I understand that he thinks he deserves more money, but if I'm the Miami Dolphins, there is no way in hell that I'm actually giving this guy a new contract at all. There's no way in hell. While you've earned it on the field, you haven't earned it off the field. You haven't earned it with consistency. And that's the problem. You've been a consistent player, but you haven't been a consistent citizen. And so they already gave you a contract. And why didn't you give back the money the year that you were out for the suspension and the injury? I'm wondering, 2 years ago when you signed the deal, you had a domestic issue. So you embarrassed the team. You put them in a really difficult situation after that big deal. And then you also have the injury. So why didn't you give back the money then? You got, 4 years left on this contract? There's no way in hell I'm giving him more money at all. So either he plays on this contract or don't play at all, man. Hold out and don't make a penny. And do what Le'Veon Bell did and be a dumbass. Go for it, man. Knock yourself out. See, the Dolphins cannot set a terrible precedent by giving somebody a contract, anybody on your team, and that within 2 years, and you've got several years left on the deal, and all of a sudden you're going to renegotiate because you had a great year? No, man. That's not how it goes. I'm sorry. That's just not how it goes. You got to be a good citizen for the next couple of years. And then we'll talk about it. Now, I've already told you what I would do. Okay? I've already told you that he's trade material, is what I would do with X. I would trade his ass for a boatload. I'd force him to play again this year. And then, when he has a good year, then I'd ship him off. That's what I would do. But there is no way in hell that I'm giving X a bigger contract at this point in time. No, man, you're under contract for several years. I got to worry about other players now. Ogbah wants a new deal, which I wouldn't give it to him after 1 year performance. He has to give me another year before I give him another contract. That's what I would do with Ogbah. And Gesicki, well, I would re-sign Gesicki. And the cap is going to blow up next year because the new money is going to come in from the TV deals, and then the stadiums go back to being full this year. And so now they'll sell a ton of merch, and they'll sell all kinds of stuff and suites and everything else. So they'll make their money back now, and they'll even make money that they lost on the damn, pandemic overall. But there is no way in hell that if I'm the Miami Dolphins, I'm giving X a new deal. There's no way I'm allowing anybody to hold me hostage like this. And I've told you this before, and I've been probably on this bandwagon a lot more than most folks. I've told you from the get-go that this will prove to be one of the best front offices in the NFL. And, X, you can move, get pieces, get multiple pieces for him. And if you know how to draft, then Ogbah should turn out to be a good player. And you put him opposite of Byron Jones, and then you keep rocking, bro. And you find a way to win, and you find a way to overcome. The Patriots right now are talking about trading, Stephon Gilmore. That's the latest there, and he's a hell of a player. But it gets to a point where you can't allow players to dictate what you do with the cap. You've been paid. You've been paid handsomely, X. And the team didn't tell you the year that you were out with an injury and embarrassing everybody with a domestic issue. They didn't go to you and your agent and say, hey, we signed you to this big contract, and now you laid this big-ass turd on us. You get caught in a domestic issue, and now you're out with a knee injury. Give us back that money for this year. They didn't say that. And so that's why, to me, I don't feel X is entitled to one damn penny. And I'm dead serious about this. And this is a watershed moment for Chris Grier and Brian Flores. Because if you cave in now, you will create such a problem for you down the line. And I know X is an awesome player. I get it, man. But at one point or another, you have to look at it and say, it's about the big picture. We paid you, dude. Jerome Baker, his contract's up. They paid him. He was going into his final year. And he didn't have to play his final year and then get a contract. He got his contract now. Now, shut up and play, dude. That's it. When players don't live up to a contract, they're not walking into the GM's office and saying, man, you guys are paying me $22 million a year, and I suck this year. Here's a check for 18 of those 22. I figured I was worth 3. You see any player do that, by the way? Anybody doing that? No. Is X doing that? No. So you have a year where you make a terrible decision and an injury, and you're getting paid a lot of money, and you do nothing for that year for that money, and now the following year, because you had a great year, you want more money. And remember, let's be honest now, X has had several knee injuries, knee scopes. He probably knows in his head that's a ticking time bomb. And I'm sure the Dolphins know in their heads that knee, ticking time bomb. So eventually that knee will wear out because you can't keep going into that knee and keep scoping out stuff. And if you're taking out, cartilage and stuff like that, at one point or another you get to the bone, and then we got bone on bone, and we got all the itises of the world going on. So if I'm the Dolphins, I am sticking to my guns, and there is no way in hell I am paying X. You want to hold out? You go ahead and hold out, man. The train's going to keep going without you. And they'll find the next guy, and they'll replace you. And if there's something that I hope they do inherit from, because I know that the guys we have are Patriot influenced. If there's something that I'm hoping that they do pick up, it's that. It's the balls to say, Richard Seymour, sorry. Lawyer Malloy, sorry, we got to move on. Now Stephon Gilmore, sorry, we got to move on. And they've always been able to say that. And they've always overcome and move on. And now, obviously, the one position that you can't screw up with is quarterback. That's the one that, but normally you don't have that situation unless you're the Packers, and we'll get to that one, and you do stupid things like that. Tua's not that kind of kid. But X, unfortunately, you can't trust yet. And you can't trust because his knee, and you've already given him some money, and you're hoping that, and listen, these guys aren't stupid. I don't believe Chris Greer and Brian Flores are stupid. They probably know he's had several scopes already, and they know that, hey, we could probably get a couple good more years out of him, and then after we're done. So they may want to trade him before he falls off the deep end. That may be the move you want to make with X. And it's not about getting nervous knees here for some of you Dolphins out there. If you have conviction, and like I do at least, and you believe in your, your front office, then they will find another player and they will continue. I know it's hard to find another X. I get it. He's an elite corner, but there's also elite baggage that comes with X too. You know what I mean? With Tua, zero baggage. That's what we've seen, right? Who else? We look at Jerome Baker. I haven't seen anything off the field with him, right? Zero baggage. It's a whole different ball game. Certain players you have baggage, and certain players you don't have baggage. And with X, you have multiple bags. You have the injury bag, and you have the domestic issue bag. And he was still involved in another story. I know he wasn't at fault, but you're still, I don't know who you're hanging around with. So the decisions there by X still may not be, really good decisions. So that's why if I'm the Dolphins, I'm sticking to my guns. And I'm saying, X, hey, we love you. That's why we gave you a big fat contract. We want you to be here. You're signed. We've committed to you. Now it's up to you, And I know that Flores says, what is it? Let me get his exact quote. In fact, you know what? Let me do it this way instead. Where's here? Let me read you Flores' quote today, because he addressed the media and addressed all of this today. And obviously that was going to be the top story because X is not at Dolphins camp. And let's see here. Where are we at? Where are we at with Flo? Flo. He says it's a unique situation on their hands with Xavien Howard, is what he called it. And let me see if I can get you his exact quote. We love X. Let me go ahead and say that right now so you all can write that. He's very productive. He's a team player. He's an important player on this team. But again, unique situations. We want to keep him here. Okay? So, I mean, he's... And he also says, he says it's a unique situation in terms of a player asking for a contract negotiation, essentially after 1 year on a new portion of the deal. Says it's never been done before, though he's not drawing the line in the sand on a new deal. And the only thing I can see them doing is if they don't feel they're going to use their money, this year on the cap, and they have some cap space left over, I can see them giving X a little more guarantees inside the same contract. That's the most extreme I can see out of that, but I don't see them giving him a new deal. I don't see them extending it. I don't see them giving him more of a signing bonus and extending the contract and extending the headache, because then he becomes untradeable, ladies and gentlemen. Because then the contract becomes such a burden that all of a sudden now it's a burden for you to trade him, like what's going on with the Packers, and then it's a burden for the team that has to acquire him because the salaries are kind of high. So you got to watch out with a crazy salary. You got to watch out with giving a really an extremely high signing bonus, because then that all gets accelerated if you're forced to cut him or you're forced to trade him. You know what I mean? So right now, you're 1 year into that new deal. It is not a good time to trade him because you're going to take such a cap hit at this point. So I think they would like to wait another year, get another year of productivity out of him, keep him out of trouble for another year, no headlines, and then next offseason, you trade him. That's probably what I would do, because if you started this situation, I don't think it's going to end. I think it's going to continue. And this also becomes a bad sign. You know, this past offseason, he was involved in a situation that it wasn't him, but he's still associated with somebody that was obviously doing something that he shouldn't be doing. And then 2 years ago, you're part of a domestic issue. And now you're going to hold out on a team because you had one good year, one great year, but the year before when you got your deal, you didn't want to give any money back. So the decision making still is not a good one for X. Because if he's willing to hold out on you now, then this is not the kind of guy that you should tie yourself to long term. Let somebody else carry the headache. Because that's kind of what it's turned out to be. You know, you can't give the petulant child the money just because he wants it. That's a bunch of bullshit. So I'm not paying X a damn dime at this point in time. I'm going to say, yo, you got your contract. We gave you a fat-ass signing bonus. Play your ass off. That's what we say. Your teammates are waiting for you. You want to hold out? Well, then I don't think you're a very good teammate if you're doing that. Pat in Asheville says, hello, everybody. X is a goner. They will likely trade him next year or after training camp when the player's agent starts speaking publicly. Never a good sign. Yeah, I think they'll try to play it out this year and then trade him next year. So, there you go. Brooklyn Rob says, Gesicki, no baggage. Exactly. Bunch of guys, right? Christian Wilkins, I don't think he's getting in any trouble. You know, some guys aren't going to give you trouble, and you can do certain things, but you can't have somebody just sign a contract and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, no, we're out of here, we're done. That just doesn't fly. Don't forget that you can reach out to us on Twitter at Big O Show. You got a question, you can send it in here on the YouTube chat board. You got the super chat going, which I appreciate those of you already that have given us a little love on the super chat. Charles Cooper says, can we trade X for a 1,000-yard runner? I would rather trade X for a whole bunch of picks. I got to be honest with you. Running backs are a dime a dozen. You could find running backs all over the place. And you may have a 1,000-yard rusher anyways in your backyard right now. So, unless you're trading him for a Pro Bowl stud, like an All-Pro running back, then we're talking. But a 1,000-yard back or just a solid back, you could have that with Gaskin this year. If the line is better and your quarterback is in a groove, Myles Gaskin is going to have a nice year this year. I'm convinced of that. Now, is he going to be a Pro Bowler and All-Pro? No, but he could get you 1,000 yards, 1,200 yards. I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think Omar's, said it a couple times on his articles and shows with me that Gaskin was on pace for 1,600 all-purpose yards last year before the injury. So he was on his way to being extremely productive for the Miami Dolphins last year. Hell, at one point he was top 10 in yards from scrimmage. If you get a better line and a better quarterback, you're going to get better production from your running backs, the ones you have this year. But for X, if you trade him, I got to be honest with you, I want picks, man. I want picks. I want several picks because to me, that's the best way. You keep building your team and keep adding guys right from their first contracts because that's when you get them the cheapest. Tremolio says X doesn't realize that he went up against two wide receivers by Ron, lockdown one that locked the number ones. Yeah. Let's see. What else do we have? Charles Cooper says, easy to say trade X, but with all the firepower in the division, it's a gamble. It is a gamble. There's no doubt, my friend. But you can't set the precedent by renegotiating a contract that has several years left on it, and he just signed it. You can't do that. That says that you now, as a franchise, you don't value any contract. And so any contract is up for renegotiation a year after you sign it. That doesn't make any sense. So you can't do that. And it is a big gamble. You are correct. I can't argue with that. But if Ogbah turns out to be a good player, next guy up, man. That's it. Next guy up. So that'll be the interesting part about all of this and how it ends up turning out. Is it all about Tua for the Dolphins to have a great season? No, it's part of it, but your defense has to play. The offensive line has to be productive. Receivers have to stay healthy. Will Fuller has had his share of injuries. He's got to stay healthy. Okay? And then you've got a rookie. And as much as I like Jalen Waddle, he's still a rookie. And rookie wide receivers sometimes do struggle. Some of them, come out and have great rookie years, but some of them do a lot of them struggle. And it's normal. So it's up to, guys like Parker and Preston one of them has to have a healthy season. Gesicki's got to also ball out. So there's a lot of things that come to it. The defense. They obviously got a lot of young guys that have to take the next step. And you got rid of some veterans that you were counting on for leadership and experience, like Van Noy. So you now need the Van Ginkels of the world, who took another step last year and played his ass off. But now he's got to show that last year wasn't an aberration, that this was a sign of things to come. Ogbah wants a new contract. I would never give him a new contract. Why? It's the only good year you've had in your career. How am I going to give you a new contract off of 1 year and you've never done it again? There's no way I'm giving Ogbah a new contract. The dude has to play. And then maybe if he's balling this year, towards the end of the season, not in the offseason, towards the end, you start working on a new deal. And you give him a new deal going into the following season. You can do that. But there's obviously you need Tua to be the guy. But there's a lot of things that must happen in order for this team to succeed. Brian Flores has got to he's had a great understanding, and he's been able to push every right button for his team. Even from the young group from 2 years ago, it got better and better and better, and that's a credit to the coach, understanding his talent, what it can and cannot do. And yeah, there were some risks that he took, and some of them didn't pay off. But more often than not, he had a great feeling for the team. And that feel for your club is really important. And he's shown he has that for 2 years. He's got to do it again. So there's a lot of factors that go into having a successful season. yeah, it's really easy to say it's got to be Tua, but if the defense sucks, that's not on Tua. If the running game's not productive, that's not on Tua. If the offensive line is not blocking, it's not on Tua. If receivers drop passes, it's not on Tua. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that come into it. The new offensive coordinators, these guys have got to be able to really know how to maximize their talent on offense and put Tua in a position where he's constantly comfortable. I'm really, like, I'll give you an example, and I want you to track this. Arthur Smith left Tennessee. I think Arthur Smith choreographed the Tennessee offense to a T, bro. I mean, I think he called and pushed every right button and read the defense that he was playing perfectly, and he would call the right plays, and he'd free up certain players, and they'd be able to make some plays. I'm interested to see now with the new offensive coordinator, taking over, can they do the same thing again? I know they added Julio Jones and all that good stuff, but if you don't call a good game and you don't know exactly what the defense is doing, then you're going to get burned. Arthur Smith it always felt like he was a step ahead of most of the people that he was playing until he got to the playoffs where they would just stack the box and stop Henry, and then that was the end of it. But I'm interested to see if the offense is as productive as it's been the last couple of years under new leadership. So all these kind of little things, all have to come into place. So yeah, Tua has to play well. Offensive coordinators have to do a really good job. Everybody on offense has got to do their job. Everybody on defense has got to show up. So in the end, it's got to be about a team. Hey, Marino used to ball out, right? But the defense sucked and the running game sucked, and they could never really get every aspect of the game going, and that's why you end up with 62-7 at the end of his career. And that's why he didn't have a ton of postseason success and win a Super Bowl, because he never had all the other right pieces. So, yes, you need Tua to play well, but you need a lot more than just Tua to play well, man. You do. It's just the way it is. It's a little lazy to just put it all on Tua. Everybody's got to step up. So let's hope that that's what happens and they get it done. Herman says, football is a team sport, not individual. I agree. Big O, what do you think about Baker getting $13 million? Well, the averages are a little over 10, actually. I have no problem with it, Pipe Man Slim. I have no problem with it. He's earned it. He's played his ass off. He's gotten better and better every year. I like the guy. And let me tell you something. If you remember correctly, my guys didn't give him this incredible passing grade when he got drafted. They thought he worried a little too much about other things than football. I remember they used to say he would get lost a lot in the trash. In other words, he couldn't fight through blocks and break down blocks to get to tackles and things like that. So there were holes in his game that some of my guys felt he had. So it wasn't one of those things that Jerome Baker got this incredible passing grade when he got selected. And to his credit, he has gotten better every single year. And he has become a playmaker for them. He has become a pillar of stability for them. So I have zero issue with Jerome Baker getting paid. He deserves this contract. Now he's got to live up to it. And hopefully, again, just like Tua, he's got to come back and ball out like he did last year and maybe even play better than he did last year if he can. Add whatever he can to his game. You know what I'm saying? So I have no problem with Jerome Baker getting his money. Big O, can we get an online petition for the old logo and uniforms? King Short, that's coming, dude. That's coming. Okay? I think they have to petition for it for the league. They may have done it already behind the scenes and we don't know about it. But I think it's like you have to wait till 7 years, and then the process takes a couple of years. So I think it's like 10. So I don't know exactly what year the logo came out, But if we're around, we're getting close to 10 or we're at 10 or whatever, I could see something coming out soon about the logo in the next year or two or three. So I'm pretty sure they're going to go back to the old logo, probably put a little spin on it themselves, add some kind of little thing to it. But that's coming, man. I think they see through the trees and they see a lot of fans want that old logo back. So that they're not most people that are honest with you, they'll tell you that logo sucks because it sucks. It's a terrible logo. Baker's deal is reportedly $39 million with $28 guaranteed. For $1 million guaranteed. Very sweet deal. Yeah, man. It's a good deal. I'm not worried about it. Let's see. Why the lack of sympathy for player perspective in the Xavien Howard case? Look how Bobby McCain was treated. He makes less than Byron Jones, who's a lesser player. Well, Leon, I don't know if you didn't hear, then I think you need to rewind. And I kind of already gave all those reasons, and I talked about it, my man. I can't repeat it already, but it's there. You can just rewind. If you just tuned in late, it is what it is, bro. But I already explained all of that. You can check it out. Let's see. I would give X an extension if it helps the Finns lower the cap going forward. And it does not. It does not lower the cap. You may lower it this year, which they don't really need it, but you end up putting more of a burden on the back end of the deal, and that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You cannot rework this deal. You rework this deal after 2 years, and everybody that gets a contract and outplays it after one is going to come back at you saying, I want a new deal. And you gave it to X, you got to give it to me. It's a terrible precedent that Miami would send. Miss my boy Dono. Hope you have some new on the next project. Yeah. I mean, if we could get this going, if we get the right partner and all that, Dono will be a part of it, of course, and a lot of the people that were at Onside are all going to be a part of it. I'm not worried about that part. We will get back going again. Let's see what else. George says, would love if the old logo came back on the 50th anniversary of the undefeated team. Put Shula's initial on it like the Bears did with Hallis. That would be icing on the cake. That'd be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. Are these mini camps a mandatory? Yeah, this one's the mandatory one, yes. The fine? Oh, I don't know what the fine is. It doesn't matter. They usually erase those fines when it's all said and done. It is what it is. I'm not worried about that. And you know what? Let them worry about the damn fine. It's about whether the player's going to actually report and stay and get it done. Really, that's really the key there. Big O, it's great to have you back. Going 1 hour straight. Pipe Man Slim, yes, I'm looking at it. We are 54 minutes in, is what it says. Yep. I agree with that. Thank you, sir. Let's see, what else do we have here? And by the way, thank you all out there for chiming in and following us and tuning in. I appreciate all of you out there. Very nice. John Santos is there. Estafin. I don't know if I've mentioned all of you, but remember to hit that like button. That's really, 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 really important to hit the like button, because that will help out the algorithms and that'll really get it out there. And we need as much support as possible to build this thing up again and get it going. But we got a good crowd. I got to tell you, for our first day back, we've got a really good crowd joining us, and a lot of the regulars out there. Thank you all out there for stopping by and giving us some love. I appreciate it. 22 people need to catch up. Is that what we got in likes? Yeah, we definitely need a. Oh no, I think I see. Is that 54 there? I think I see 54. Right? Is that the number that I'm seeing there? Pretty good. 73 tuned in. 55 likes. I like it. We got Super Chat coming in. Love it. It's a beautiful thing. Let's see what else. We've talked about X not being in camp. We talked about Jerome Baker getting his new deal. I got no problem with all of that. The Ogbah one, just to tell you a little bit about Ogbah. Listen, Emmanuel Ogbah had an awesome year last year. He was one of the best free agent pickups in all of the NFL. Now, this has been a guy that has not lived up to his draft status. And that's why he became available. And to their credit, they saw a player. You know, it reminds me a lot of damn it. What's the linebacker that got injured and we got him from New Orleans for Kiko Alonso? It's is it Beasley or what's the kid's name now? Not Beasley? What's his damn name now? Isn't it Vic? But it's not Vic Beasley. It's damn it! Somebody help me out. Beagle, Vince Beagle. Thank you very much. Thank you, Matt. So it's like Vince Beagle. Like they got Vince Beagle, right? And we're like who the hell is this guy? And then all of a sudden, we watch him and he's helping out like crazy in pass rush and getting after the quarterback. And they found a role for him perfectly, and they were able to maximize his talent, right? And so they had great vision. And I've noticed that they've done this several times. And Ogbah was another one of those kind of guys that they saw him and they said, okay, he's underachieved, but if we put him in our system and we have him do what we want here, he will thrive. And that's exactly what happened. And Ogbah is a guy that I love what he did, don't get me wrong. And I understand that he wants to get paid. God bless him, man. He's going in. But you signed a 2-year deal, dude. And there's a reason why you signed the 2-year deal. And this is why you got to love Chris Greer. Because now he has you by the balls. So it's like with Parker, they gave him a 2-year contract and he balled out. And then they gave him the 4-year contract so he wouldn't play on that final year. And so it's the same thing here. They got him on a 2-year contract. So, and they didn't pay him a lot of money, and they got a ton of production off that first year. Well, you can't guarantee the second year you could go back to being the average to less than average player you were before you got here to Miami. So if you're Miami, you're going to say, hey, Emmanuel, we love you. We love what you did. We think you fit great here, but we need to see you do it again this year. We need to know that what happened last year was not an aberration. That you're going to play just as hard, you're going to be just as effective, you're going to be able to get after the quarterback. And so I kind of mentioned it a little earlier. What I would do with Ogbah is I'm not giving him a contract now. But as the year goes on and you're 3/4 of the year in and the guy's balling out and has 8 or 9 sacks and he's headed for a 10, 12 sack year, you're, okay, Emmanuel, let's sit down, let's get you the contract. Because they could tag him at the end of the year if they wanted to. Not that you really want to do that, but he knows that you could. So you want the long-term contract because you want the big signing bonus. So if I'm the Dolphins, I'm telling Emmanuel how much we love you, how much we respect what you do, but we got to see it one more year. You give us one more year, and we give you what you deserve. Pretty simple. He's young enough that you can give him the 4-year contract. He can play easily through at least 3 of it. By the time you release him for the 4th, it's not that painful. In fact, the cap hit is nothing at that point. So that's what I would do with Ogbah. Ogbah would be the guy that I would have to, kind of wait for the production first to meet the player, is what I would do with Emmanuel Ogbah. Don't forget, you can reach out to us on Twitter at Big O Show. As always, you got any questions, you can always reach out to us. I will eventually add another text line again to this show, and we'll have that because that was used a lot. That's usually what you guys like doing. It's either the text on YouTube, the text on the text line, or on Twitter. That's usually the way people obviously communicate. And of course, a little super chat also is the other way that you guys can communicate with us here. Big O Baker is one of only 2 linebackers that has 100 tackles, 7 sacks, 2 forced fumbles in the NFL in 2 years. Big. Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I have no problem with that. I like what Baker did. He deserves his money, man. You know? Matt Walker, they did the same thing with tight end Shaheem. He looked lost in Chicago, but had a career year as a rotational player. Exactly. And the Dolphins, their front office does an awesome job of identifying talent and how it fits in their scheme. And they're able to bring players over, and it happens. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm with you all the way on that. Did you get any warning about what happened on onside, or was it unexpected? Completely unexpected. I mean, there's a lot more to the story. But, yeah, completely unexpected. Yeah. Yeah. It is what it is, man. Life has its ups and downs, and, you can't sit there and moan about it. You just got to find a way to move on. And, I'm blessed to be able to do our podcast and hopefully, maybe grow this back to a point where I can actually generate some revenue and live off of it. That would be, good. So I got to talk to sponsors again and all that good stuff and build this thing back up again. But that's why I tell you guys all the time to share and hit the like button and all those things. All of that stuff is so important. It's not even funny, man, because that's how it ends up paying off for us in the long run and helping us in a big time way. The good thing is that on this one, we're already built up, and we've built up the subscriptions, and obviously it's people are when you got people chiming in that, hey, we got the notification and we're on. That's cool to know that we got again. I was floored that for the last few months we've had over 100,000 downloads and we haven't done a show. Seriously, that's crazy. Okay, over 100,000 downloads in the last 5 months, and we haven't done a show on this podcast. It's all people listening to the stuff that's been posted the first year and a half, whatever it was, about a year and a half, I think, or 4 or 5 months, or whatever it is that we've done the podcast overall. That's why, in the end, there's so much uncertainty in this entire business, right, that it's almost better to do it on your own and do it here because you kind of control everything and you're free to say whatever you want. People are free to express themselves here and they can reach out to us. We can connect, obviously, like we've done on this podcast, since we started it. So, listen, man, I'm just blessed. You got to find ways to overcome, and hopefully we can build this thing back up again and get to the point where we're having some fun with this on a daily basis. And, it's the pandemic hurt all of us. And it's, in a strange way, if we never had the pandemic, we would have never tried Onside or anything else because the podcast would have completely exploded. Because we had all the sponsors going, we had the draft show in Vegas. It was, I'm telling you, it was big. Because we had 2 producers running the show. It wasn't just Bill. We had Philippe handling all the video. But we had the revenue coming in to take care of everybody. You know what I mean? Now we've got to get it back to the point where we bring some stability. Ooh, I see 70 on and 70 likes. Wow. That's awesome. Appreciate that. Now there's 69 on. Oh, 70, 69, 70. Okay. Back and forth. Big O has 9 lives and counting. Yeah. Yeah, we do. We're relentless, my brother. That's the beauty. In life, if you're not relentless, it's going to run your ass over, right? I mean, that's kind of what it is. Hookah Tube 75 says life is hard. Damn right. And you got to be harder so you can survive it. I love it here better, on my opinion. I mean, yeah, that I've gotten a lot of that. It's strange because we get more views on the podcast than we do anything that we did on Onside. We get more downloads here than anything I did on Onside. I thought when we moved over to Onside, we would have the same amount of views or more. We would have the same amount of downloads or more, and we did not. We did not. This podcast is way more popular than what we did on Onside. It's crazy. It really is. But I appreciate the hell out of all of you out there, man. Big O, would you ever do a roundtable podcast with other Dolphins, YouTubers? I think that would be pretty good. And you can school some of these young pups, LOL. Mauricio, I mean, definitely I would do it, man. You know me. If any of you have met me, you know that I'm approachable and I treat everybody the same. I would love to, and it's not about teaching them and running rings around anybody or anything like that. Brother, I'm going to get stuff right and I'm going to get stuff wrong. Okay? That's just the way it is. And nobody's perfect. None of us are going to nail every prediction out there. You know what I'm saying? We're an hour and 7 minutes straight, huh? Not bad. Not bad for a start. Got to get a little water in. Anyway, so yes, I would do a round table. I would do all of that. I agree. This show is the shit. Just being honest, bud. Thank you, George. Appreciate you. Tommy in Hialeah is in. He says, welcome back. Oh, thank you, sir. Rosendo says, I missed your question and answers with the manager at Hialeah Racetrack. LOL. Steve Calabro. Steve is a good man. Hopefully we'll be back at Hialeah. Maybe we can be back there doing a show. This is my favorite format. Oh, that's what Ian from Brooklyn says. You just can't bring on the young pups that were on Onside. Yeah, we can. We will. I mean, I still need to fix a couple technical issues where I can put this connected to the board, which I don't have this connected to the board at this point in time. So this is why I've got to do it this way, where I'm doing this for the audio and then live straight up from the iPad. So at least we can do the show and do the chatting and connect video and audio together. But sound bites and all that I can't play because the people on YouTube can't hear it at this point in time. So it's kind of, I need to get those technical issues figured out, and I will eventually. I got to get somebody to come to my house and figure this stuff out for me, because I am not that guy. Unfortunately, I'm not the technical guy. So they've got to figure it out for me and then teach me what I got to do, and then, I'm off and running and putting all this stuff together. Would love to bring Alex Dono around on some podcasts. We will. No, we will. It's just day one, man. Just day one. Give me some time here. Let me get my life straightened out again, okay? And man of 1,005 holds, thank you, sir. Giving us a little love on the super chat. Love it. Welcome back, Big O. You always keep it 100. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you, man. Mike says, I'm looking so forward to seeing this Dolphins football team come together. If we can come out the first 6 games at 3-3, we'll be contenders. Oh, they're going to be fine. EJD is in the house. EJDconstruction.com. Folks, Eric has always been a huge supporter of our show, and we always appreciate it. So when you need some construction in your home, make sure you call Eric and the great people at EJDconstruction.com, man. Great people. Pat in Nashville says, I've had close to a couple of my business locations. It sucks, but I never left any employee hanging. They were all offered the same pay at another location. Don't worry about it, man. It is what it is with the whole on-site situation. Shit happens, man. And sometimes a lot of this stuff is out of your control and you can't do anything about it. And it sucks, but that's the reality that we're in. Big O, once you settled down, would you tell us your days and times of the podcast? Well, right now I'm going to try to do this at 11 a.m. every day. Okay, I'm going to try, at least for now, to try to keep it at 11 a.m. Because that's where I used to do it all the time. So I figured I'd go back to my regular time slot that we would do it. And this, when I get to do it at this time, it still allows me the rest of the day. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not going to be doing 3-4 hour podcasts anymore. I used to do 3 to 4 hours on it. I don't know if I'm going to do that much. I'm definitely going to be trying to do about an hour to 2 hours. Maybe I might go a little over 2 hours sometimes, but it won't be that much more than that. It's tough to keep. And listen, today I'm doing it without any breaks. We're at an hour and 12 minutes right now, and I haven't taken a damn break whatsoever. The only break I've taken is to take a sip of water, which I'm doing that right now. Got to do that. I definitely don't want to ruin the voice that I just got back. Dougie Fresh giving us a little love on the Super Chat. Thank you, sir. He says, if T-Rex was an NFL player, who would he be? P.S. I'm ready to do remotes from Pensacola if you want to know what rock bottom feels like. I'll see you next year for the Senior Bowl, my man, when I go out there. Big J doing big things, giving us a little love on the Super Chat. And he gives us a little sticker. He knows I like the stickers. So he's got the fist bump right there. Little fist bump for you. There we go. So thank you, Big J, doing big things. Hookah Tube says, you take care of yourself. Oh, your voice is your money maker. Yes, it is, sir. Yes, it is. Appreciate all of you out there, man. You guys are absolutely amazing. Oh, we're up to 82 likes now. Damn. You guys are rocking and rolling today. I love it. Big first day back, man. Not bad. I appreciate all of you out there. Thank you so much. The Heat. Let me talk a little Heat here because yesterday, and it's so screwed up, right? The Heat had 2 players named to second team defense in Jimmy and Bam. And I was thinking about this. Only the Heat in this town, listen to me, they make the playoffs again. Okay, so they didn't go far. Look, I didn't have them going out of the first round. Last year I was wrong. I thought they were a first round exit, and they had this incredible run to the finals. And this year I thought the same thing of the team last year. I didn't think they were more than a first rounder, and this year they did exactly what I thought. So to me it wasn't a surprise. But how screwed up is this for the Heat? They're an awesome organization, man. They've given us 3 titles, 6 runs at the championship, several trips to the Eastern Conference. They've won the division countless amount of times. They've been such a winning organization under Riley. And they're so good of a franchise that making the playoffs and postseason awards of 2 of their guys making all-defensive team, second team all-defensive, it just goes under the bridge. It's water off a duck's back. It's people yawning and no big deal. If the Marlins did that, we'd be giddy about them. If the Panthers did it, we'd be giddy about them. Hell, if the Dolphins at this point in time made the playoffs and a couple of their players made it on all defensive squads, we would be giddy about the Dolphins because then they're the next step. But for the Heat, it's ho-hum. How screwed up is that? That's how spoiled we are, which reminds me of the Shula days. Towards the end of the Shula days, when he would make the playoffs, we would go, Shula's only making the playoffs. He's getting eliminated in the first round. All the games passing him by. And over the last 20 years, we'd give anything to just make the playoffs. You know what I mean? We would be just happy just to make the playoffs. So appreciate the Miami Heat, man. I get it. There was a finals last year, and you wanted the stars to align, the ducks to fall all in place. You know, you wanted both oars in the water. You wanted proper balance on the beam. You wanted everything to go well, and you wanted to get back to the finals again. Or at least the Eastern Conference Finals, right? And it didn't happen. And so now you're depressed about the Heat. But how screwed up is that it's the only franchise in town that can do something like that, and yet we look at it and we say, not good enough. Mediocre. We've gotten to the Shula point with Pat Riley and the Miami Heat. That's messed up, man. Okay? That is messed up. It shows you where we're at. Congratulate the Heat, man. They had a great year. They made the playoffs again. I get that we wanted more, but they've given us so much more, you know? And we have to be appreciative of that. So don't underestimate that stuff, man. I'm telling you, it's don't underestimate it. It's a franchise that we have to cherish because of what they produce and what they've produced for a quarter century now with Pat Riley. So, congratulations to the Heat. Congratulations to Bam. Congratulations to Jimmy. I know we want Bam to take that next step and be ultra aggressive and be a superstar and be a max player and act like a max player and play with that desperation. I get all of that. I get we want Tyler Johnson to take that next step, which he didn't this year. Duncan, I thought, had a pretty good year. You know, there's a lot of things left to be desired. And there's improvement to be made just from within. I get all of that. But big picture, appreciate the Heat, man. Appreciate the hell out of that organization. And don't ever take for granted that they made the playoffs. Because, as I've told you this before many times, that age normally sucks, you know, because as you get older, your body's breaking down and things aren't the same. You know what I'm saying? Damn, I got some tanglement down there. Anyway, so I know that you want everything to be, you know, like it used to be, but when you get old, one of the few things that you do get is perspective. And you remember things that you lived, and you try to pass on that experience to your kids, to your younger, you know, friends, things like that. I do with the young people at Onside, and tell them about this business. You know, it's one of those things that perspective. I see how we treated the Shula end and the Shula era at the end, and how we didn't really appreciate everything that went on. We kind of took it for granted. Don't take the Heat for granted. Don't take Riley for granted. Don't take playoff trips for granted. Don't take Jimmy Butler for granted. Don't take Bam Adebayo for granted. Appreciate it, okay? Wasn't another title run, but it was still a damn good year overall. Oh, can you do some training camp via remote? Sure. I probably could. I don't know. I could talk to them about something like that. Maybe I could. I don't know. Maybe I might be able to do something like that. Now, again, remember you can't really talk about what's going on a lot of times. So some of that stuff I may not be allowed to talk about it. Look, the way they practice nowadays, you don't really get a good feel anymore. They don't hit like they used to. So until we get to training camp, preseason, that's when we will start to get a real feel for this team, and then we'll know where we stand with the Dolphins. Let's give a little bit for the U.S. men's national team for their win against Mexico. The youngsters in goal. The youngster in goal was awesome. Yeah, the backup made the save of his life. I'm with you there. Big old Tyler Johnson, Tommy and Hialeah. Did I say Tyler? Did I screw up or something? The best day in Finn's history was the day Shula arrived, and the worst day was the day he retired, or was forced to retire. Javier Toledo says, keep grinding, Big O. Love you, brother. Thank you, Javier. Appreciate you out there. Give us the thumbs up. Wow, 91. Holy crap. Can we hit 100 likes today? That would be nice. Are the Dolphins camping at a new site of the season or still at Nova? No, I think they're still at Nova. I don't think they're at the new place yet. Is Aaron Rodgers going to retire or play football? All right, let's address that one there. Aaron Rodgers, I thought it's really funny what's developed with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Packers president Mark Murphy called Aaron Rodgers a complicated fella. Now, this is a franchise that has complicated this situation to an extreme already at this point. You've got a guy that is an MVP, and somehow or another, you've done everything in your power to piss him off. And look, this is a guy, for years, they've known it more than we did. This guy excommunicadoed his family, bro. I mean, it's like a John Wick, and he's at the Continental, and they excommunicadoed his family. Like he's the dude with the gray and the salt and pepper hair, and his family comes to visit him. No, you've been excommunicadoed. And he called in the operator. The operator and now every hunter is out and just eliminate his family. I mean, this is a dude that is cold-blooded. So if you're the franchise and you're the front office, you should be understanding that, okay, we got to handle this guy a little differently. And we got to make sure, because look at how he's playing. He's playing out of his mind. He's an MVP. Without him, we have no shot at a Super Bowl title. And it seems like they've done everything to piss him off. And so now, and now Mark Murphy comes out and says that, I almost get the feel like this is not repairable. That you eventually have to trade his ass. But now, it's kind of like the X thing. What happens if you give X a new contract and then you've got some problems with him a year from now? And who says you can't? And now you want to move him, but you gave him more money, and now you can't trade him because the cap hit would be crippling, and it would force you to cut other players. You can't get to that point. But you got to that point with the Packers. And so now you got a guy that is your best player, one of the 5 best players in the history of that franchise, and the guy doesn't want to play for you. And it just seems like the Packers are constantly doing things that puts them further and further away from actually, having their best player on the field with them. Now Mark Murphy comes out and says he's a complicated fella. And whatever, whether it's in context or not or whatever, the fact that you said that, if you're Aaron Rodgers, you're like, well, screw you guys, dude. And if he's set on retiring and not playing well, then so be it. It is what it is. But if you're the Packers, you have done everything in your power to screw this whole thing up. And obviously it was something that came to a head now in the last few months, because and this is not something that just showed up on the radar. They obviously have had their differences and their discussions in the last couple of years, and then this thing built up to this point, and now we're at the crescendo. So I almost get the feeling that, he never plays there again. and that they're forced to trade him. I don't know if they can trade him now since we're past June, and I don't know if the cap hit would be a little less because they can structure it, down the line and take it in 2 different years. But I just don't see him playing there anymore. And if you're the Packers, man, Jordan Love better be the shit. Because if he is a bomb, oh my Lord. You're really putting yourself in a really difficult situation. So to me, this makes no sense whatsoever. And Jordan, I like Jordan. Now, I would never take him early in the draft, but he's got a boatload of talent. But the problem is he'll make throws that you're like, oh my God, there's only 2 or 3 people in the NFL that can make that throw. And then he'll make some other ones that you're just going to go, oh shit, that's a terrible throw. That's a bad decision. So the kid is super green, super talented, but super green. So you don't know how far he is from being a good player for you. And or if he ever will be, because we don't even know if mentally because that's what you don't know. Ryan Leaf nobody's more talented than Ryan Leaf. Nobody's more talented than Jeff George. But mentally, they were never there. And that happens to a ton of guys. Akili Smith, God, size, arm, all that, but he couldn't put it together. There's lots of guys like this in the league. And Jordan Love is a guy that's got a boatload of talent, but he's super, super green. And I doubt he's ready this year. If he is, it's going to be in a year of a pandemic. I don't know how he got better. It would be absolutely amazing. Good thing for him, he's getting the reps now. He'll get a lot of the preseason work, and then comes the real deal. And let me tell you something. You risk losing the locker room. Because if you're playing like shit and you're not winning, then all of a sudden, players are looking around going, damn, this kid Jordan Love isn't ready. And the guys in the front office and the coaching staff, all they did was screw it up with Aaron, and now we got no shot. And you'll lose players. You'll lose them throughout the year as it gets worse and worse and worse. More of them will tune out the coaches, they'll tune out the front office, and they'll say, hey, screw you guys, dude. You guys had a chance to make things right with Aaron, and you stuck us with this kid, and it's nothing personal against the kid, but he's not ready to play. It's kind of like when you used to watch Saturday Night Live, and the back end of the roster, they would say, and they're not ready for primetime players. And that's probably Jordan Love at this point in time. So that's where you also walk a fine line if you're the Packers. You could be losing your locker room because you did something incredibly stupid. So we'll see. So there you go. Reach out to us on Twitter at Big O Show. Remember, you can chime in on the chat board here if you got any questions. Super chat as always. Appreciate all of you out there. I heard on the herd, or the turd, that many Packer players are ready to move on from Rodgers Gate. Yeah, that's what they all say now. They all say because they hate answering all the questions. But when they're in week 10 and they're 3-7, trust me, they're going to want to talk Rodgers, and they're going to want him back in a big-time way. At this point in time, talk is cheap. Let's put it that way. Charles says, Packers need to send them packing. Well, Denver is ready to Denver's with their arms wide open and ready to take them in. Jordan Love is a joke. He can't even be a backup QB. Well, I mean, he better be a starter. Let's see. Camp news that Jakeem dropping a lot of passes sucks. Hope he doesn't get cut. He's not going to get cut. He's a return guy. So he doesn't drop on returns. So he's not going to be used much as a receiver this year. He'll be used more as a decoy, if anything else. You don't need him as a receiver this year. That's the beauty. He'll be a better player this year because he'll be a returner and very, very, few routes to run. So to me, I'm not worried about all of that stuff. Let's see. New Dolphin training camp site supposed to be open by training camp. Supposed to be. Let's hope they are. Let's hope it is. That'll be cool if they have the new one open by then. But they're supposed to. You're right. But right now I know they're in Davie. Let's see. What else? How's the O-line looking? I mean, right now there's nothing to talk about the O-line, dude. Until they start to truly hit. So we'll find out more in the preseason is when we'll find out. The O-line doesn't really get any real work until then. They don't even do inside drill like they used to back in the day. I'm telling you, this is not the kind of football that I grew up covering in this league, okay? It's not even close. What else do we have here on the agenda to talk about? Hey, did you guys see that Barry Bonds had his dog at that competition? What's it called? The Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show. Did you guys see that? That Barry Bonds, okay? Here, I'll read the story for you. So Bonds apparently is a dog guy. For those of you who think that Barry Bonds is a dog, guess what? You're kind of right. Major League Baseball's all-time home run leader made his presence felt Sunday at the 2021 Westminster Kennel Club show to cheer on his miniature schnauzer, Rocky. He even gave an interview about his dog. He says, "I'm proud that he's here." Bonds said, "I'm not expecting anything. I'm not looking out. I'm not nervous. I'm just proud he did a great job and he qualified to get here." Right? And so Bonds was out there with his dog. So now, what I was thinking of when I first saw this story, I'm thinking, does the dog have a big head? Right? I mean, because that's the first thing I'm thinking of right now. I mean, he shot himself up. Why is he not going to shoot up his dog? Bringing up competition? Did the dog beat everybody in that what's that called, or that course that they run, whatever that damn course thing is called? So did he outrun everybody by 40 seconds? He beat the world record by 40 seconds there? Is that what happened? Huh? Is that what's going on with Barry? Because I was thinking about that. If he cheats with his dog, right? If he cheats like a dog, is he cheating also for his dog? Juicing up his dog, and his dog is beating everybody around that whole the cones and everything else, and beating it by 40, 50 seconds and shattering the record. And the other thing is the dog running around with a big old head? Can he keep his balance? Does he have a Barry Bonds dog head? Because that was the amazing thing about Barry Bonds. He shot up, and his body grew in all different directions, and his head expanded 4 sizes. He made Joe Rose look like he had a small head. He made me look like I have a small head. He made Jason Cole look like he had a tiny head. I can't think of anybody else now with a big head. Me, Joe Rose, Jason Cole. Trying to remember anybody locally more in the media. Did he do that? Did he inject that dog to the point that dog had a big old head? Because I didn't really get to see the dog itself. Weapons X United is in the house. Thank you, sir. Sending in a little super chat. Stay strong, big dog. We love you out here. Thank you. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate all of you out there for taking care of us here on the program, man. Very nice of you. Oh, will you ever do a remote from Highlight Courts again? Bring it back. I would if they want me over. I could definitely do the show out there. Sponsored by Balco. Yeah. That's right. The dog had a little Balco thing hanging from him. Yeah, exactly. I love it. That is fantastic. That is so good. The dog used a Whizzinator for the test. Yes. What was the is it Orion Smith or something? What was the name of that running back that got busted for the Wizinator? Right? It was like Orion Smith or something like. Or let me see. Busted with Wizinator. And I'm going to put NFL player. Busted with Wizinator. And I want to... Ontario Smith. There you go. I was kind of like in the neighborhood. It was Ontario Smith. The dog had a Wizinator to pass the test because he had a big old head. And like, Barry, your dog's looking a little different than the rest of the dogs out there. What's up with that big old head of his? Did you shoot him up? I thought it was a cream or the clear. I thought it was it peanut oil or whatever he said it was? I saw that story and right away I thought, okay, he's got a dirty dog. The dirty dog has a dirty dog. Barry Bonds. I love it. All right, Big O Show on Twitter if you want to follow us there. If you got any questions or comments, you can send them in on Twitter. You can also reach out to us, as always, here on the YouTube page. Send in any questions, any comments. If you're listening to the podcast, by the way, on Twitter is probably the best way since we eliminated the text line. I will bring the text line back because the text line was actually used a lot. I will say this. If we meet with the right people this week, that we can continue Onside Radio with another name. And by the way, the other name is so awesome. It is a great freaking name. I had the name for a while. I was actually going to do this without, Moss and Company. And then Moss approached me about all this stuff, and then we tried it. Sadly, it didn't work out. But if we continue it, then, what was I going to tell you now? That if we continue it, what was I going to say now? No, I forgot completely what I was going to say about continuing it. Damn. We will use the Wizinator every day on the show. No, I have no idea. Now I forgot. I just lost my train of thought on what the hell I was going to say. What can I tell you? All right. That if we do continue it, we will not add phones. I realize that we'll have phones just for interviews. That's it. Because on the Onside thing, it was the text line would blow up. People would reach out on YouTube. They'd reach out on your social media, and they rarely called. And it's funny because on this show, you guys, some of you guys, obviously, or ladies, have said to me, well, why don't you add phones to it? Now I'm convinced that it would be a complete waste of money to add phones. Because it's gotten to the point now that you guys are so browbeaten by radio stations all across the country that they don't want to take your phone calls. So you don't call anymore. So when we would give out the numbers at Onside, it was people were sending in texts, they were sending in tweets, they were sending in YouTube posts, but they weren't calling in. And we'd give the numbers out all the time. So I think it's almost at the point where you guys probably thought we were just giving out the numbers, but we weren't going to take the calls, which on our station, that's not what I wanted. It's not like the whole show is going to be about calls, but I did want some calls in there. I do want people to interact. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, it never really happened. So I will tell you this, that if we do continue Onside, I'm doing it without phones. Definitely, because it was a waste of money. That's one thing that you kind of learn. His neck grew huge. Yep. Let's see. And Nico said, hey, you were talking about the text line. Exactly. Thank you, sir. Armando tweeted, Tua just threw a pick six. Okay. Big deal. I'm not worried about any of that. I only worry about that kind of stuff I'll worry about it in the preseason, the regular season, if I start seeing it now. I'd only call in Hank when it was on. I might get him on a bad day. Loved when he would rip into callers. Nice job by you, Charles. Appreciate that. That is good. Playoffs are going on. We got the Nets tonight and the Bucks. That thing is tied up, and it's screwed up, right? Because Harden is out with the hamstring. Now Kyrie Irving twisted up the ankle. And listen, I understand that it was, a screwed up situation for Kyrie, but this is something that constantly is happening to him. He is constantly breaking down. Some kind of injury happens to that guy. And that's the one thing that kind of people looked at with the Nets, that when they got these guys together, yeah, you knew that there was a lot of talent on the court, but you also were like, well, wait a minute, but these guys also have an injury history, and especially Kyrie Irving. And now Kyrie is probably done for the series. I just can't. And the way he cuts, the way he slashes, because he's got the best handles in basketball. I'm not a Kyrie fan because he kind of frustrates me. You know what I mean? And I know that the kid's actually done a lot of really good stuff, but he's kind of just a goof, and he's so aloof on top of all of that it frustrates the hell out of me, to be honest with you. And he acts like a little bitch at times because he can't compartmentalize what goes on in the world and what your responsibilities are. I get it, dude. Kids are starving. Well, kids have been starving for hundreds of years. It's not like it started now. Oh my God, the gun violence in our society. Well, it is what it is. You still have a job to do. You're paying, because when he has this attitude that he comes out with, and I know you guys want to talk about basketball, but there's so much else going on in the world that I can't talk about it now. Can you imagine in the late 70s and early 80s if players were like, well, the Iran-Contra scandal's going on. We've got, 40-something, 50-something Americans held hostage. There's a lot going on, guys. I can't talk about it right now. Give me a break, bro. Are you kidding me? Wars are going on and people have jobs to do. It is what it is. So Kyrie pisses me off at times, right? Because he makes it sound like none of us care about what's going on in the world. We do, but what can we do? We can't control the hunger in a certain country. We can't control the ignorance of Brazil and India when it came to the virus. There's lots of things we can't control. We're here in South Florida. We can't control the gun violence in Chicago. We still have to do our jobs. It sucks. You think I want to see storms? You think I want to see that volcano in Iceland? There's a lot of things that suck that go on in this world. We still have to move on. We still have our jobs to do. We still have our responsibilities. None of that changes. It's just so he pisses me off at times. But anyway, that series is tied up at 2, and this has opened up the door for Milwaukee. I mean, if they don't win this series, then this will be an embarrassing loss. You've got to fire the coach. Put it this way. That's the only way I would do it. If you can't beat this Nets team now, then you need to get fired. Period. I get it if Kyrie and James are playing and you can't beat them. Okay, I get it. It's hard to match those three guys. That's a lot of firepower between those three guys. But you've got 2 of those 3 guys missing. And you just don't replace those kind of guys. So if you're Milwaukee, you've got the better team now. You better find a way of winning. And then on the other series, Atlanta tied it up last night, 2-2, with a 103-100 win against the Sixers. You've got the Jazz and the Clippers now. That thing's tied up at 2. No Mike Conley. Obviously, that hurt the Jazz last night as the Clippers won. Kawhi had 31. George had 31. Meanwhile, the young Suns sweeping Denver are loving the fact that that series is 2-2 now. Because there's a good chance that this thing goes to 7, and that buys CP3 more time to heal up. And that's another guy that he makes an impact everywhere he goes. I mean, his leadership it's undeniable what he brings to the table. But what's also undeniable about Chris Paul is he will break down, dude. He will have injuries. And that's one of the reasons, that's the main reason why I never wanted him for the Heat when he was rumored to the Heat. And I know, listen, looking at hindsight is 2020, looking at their lack of leadership in that area, he would be huge. CP3 would do wonders with Tyler. With Tyler Hero, not Johnson. With Tyler Hero. He would do miracles with Hero. He would get in his face and he would rock his world. Okay? I mean, Tyler would get the ass kicking, the verbal ass kicking that he needs to kind of get his ass on track. You know what I'm saying? But from CP3. But the problem with CP3 is he's a sack of injuries. Now he's perfect for Phoenix, man. After what Phoenix showed us last year in the bubble, and we were all wondering, okay, well, is that an aberration? Just a young team that got hot at the right moment, and they almost got into the playoffs but didn't. But okay, so next year they're going to show it to us, and they did. And obviously adding Jay Crowder and all of that. And let me tell you, I'm really happy for James Jones, former Miami Heat player. And obviously their GM. He's done a great job over there turning that franchise around. And remember, they've got a crappy owner in Sarver. Okay? This is kind of Jeffrey Loria in 2003, that they only had to get a couple of players because Dombrowski left them a team that was good enough to go out and win another World Series title. And so Jeffrey Loria, the shitty owner that he is, he ends up winning a title. And you really, if you follow it, it's really Dombrowski's title. But he had to do very little to kind of get it on track. And so Sarver is a terrible owner, and yet he hires James Jones, and James Jones has been a godsend to that franchise. The way he has structured the young players, found the right older players, and look where they're at now. They're in the Western Conference Finals. And they swept Denver, and they're now sitting there resting and waiting, and the rest is enormous for CP3, man. So, good stuff there by James Jones, and interesting stuff going on in the NBA playoffs. I just wish that our Heat were a part of it. That would be really, really nice. Hookah Tube says, I don't care who wins the championship. The NBA ratings are going to be bad record history. Yeah, they probably will be low. Alexa V is in the house. The president is in. Let's see. Tremonio says Hank works at a bookie in Vegas. Now, yeah, Hank is hanging in there in Vegas, man. Ray says, save Dinero on phone calls. Chat, text is cool as it is. Yeah, no, I definitely got all of that from doing Onside. I realized that the phones just aren't that important anymore. It's not something people could talk about it, but they really aren't going to, when it's all said and done, they're really not going to end up making phone calls. Whoa, we're at 96 on the likes. Let's go. 4 more, man. If you haven't hit it, baby. Hit it. Don't quit it. Hit it. 4 more likes. 2 more likes. It's at 98. We need 2 more to get to 100. Let's go. I love that. Marlins, by the way, lost to the Cards 4-2. They're 29-37, man. I feel bad for the kids. Tons of injuries, bad luck. Tonight, Trevor Rodgers, always must-see TV because he can pitch. We'll see if they can beat the Cards tonight, which would be really, really nice. Good luck to the boys in teal, man. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, you guys. So J-Lo and Ben Affleck are back together again. Okay, and I know this isn't very. There's some sports, so stick with me here on this. But first of all, listen. I am not an A-Rod fan. Okay, I throughout his baseball career, I was the guy that was rooting for A-Rod early in his career. Westminster and goes to UM. At least committed to UM. Didn't end up doing much there, but has donated to UM and helped their baseball and all that. That's all well and good. And he was likable in Seattle. But then once he took that money in Texas, and then the Yankee stuff and the mirror pictures and the cheating scandals and the roids and acting like a complete ass and all that stuff, I'm the guy that roots against A-Rod. I don't root for A-Rod. I think A-Rod is as big a douchebag as it gets. All right? Are we clear enough on that now? Okay? All right? So I don't need him for business or anything like that. Ooh, we hit 100. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Anyway, so I wonder how he feels after screwing it up with J-Lo, okay? And you got a chance to stay with that. I mean, J-Lo is one of the few human beings on Earth that gets better with age. Like, that's not supposed to happen. She looks better now than she did as a fly girl. Okay? I mean, that's just crazy, dude. Right? And she is, she's amazing. Okay, I'm not enthralled by her singing and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about just the woman. Okay, she is as good looking as it gets. All right, and at her age, she is, I mean, she's right up there with Raquel Welch and some of these other women that are just, Halle Berry, just women that were timeless beauties. It's just amazing. It really is. And so you screw that up and she dumps you. But dude, not only did she dump you, she forgot about you like at the drop of a dime. Like, she got together with Ben right away, and they were just caught making out at some birthday party and all that, and they confirmed to people that they're together, and it's like, oh, really? Okay, thanks. Thanks for breaking old-ass news, because we already knew for weeks you two had been banging. Like, she forgot about A-Rod with a quickness, okay? I mean, an absolute quickness. I got a guy on Twitter that says, Daniel Willis, hey, Big O, I'm getting no audio on your live stream. I have tried the radio FM app and online radio, but I'm only getting silence on both fronts. Poor guy. I got to answer him after on Twitter. I got to answer him after what's going on. I love how you get on Twitter and then you don't bother to check the timeline. Like, so what's been going on that maybe I missed? And you don't bother to check the timeline. It's funny, man. People are lazy. You just want us to give you. I have to then repeat myself and tag the other stuff and all that. No, very few people actually go to the timeline and, hey, maybe nobody's asked about Jerome Baker. Nobody's asked him about this or that, whatever. And so it's just hilarious. Anyway, so she forgot about him. So now there is a story out, okay, that he also may have screwed up the deal with the Timberwolves. Yeah. So it says former Yankee slugger A-Rod recently became part owner of the T-Wolves and the NBA's Lynx. Rodriguez reportedly wanted to move the T-Wolves to Seattle, according to an insider. Seattle already has an WNBA team, which would prevent Rodriguez from bringing the Lynx with him. Now rumors are circulating that A-Rod may have blown the deal entirely. The announcement should be coming soon, according to internet chatter. And it says, talk to a guy who has insider tea that A-Rod blew the deal to buy the Minnesota Timberwolves, and it should be announced soon. That's all of it. It's off the table. I'm from Minnesota, so this is good news. Former Yankee slugger became a minority NBA owner in May when he purchased the Timberwolves for $1.5 billion with business mogul Mark Lowry. And of course, this is all speculation, but it wouldn't be too shocking if A-Rod found a way to blow the deal. Now, personally for me, I kind of feel bad for the people in Minnesota. I see, because I can relate with this at times because we're here in South Florida. You know, the fact that the Marlins can't get it right, and maybe now Jeter will and company, but I'm just saying before that, and people don't show up to the stadium, that's not our fault. That you can't trust the owner, he doesn't keep anybody. That's their fault. You know, sometimes people would say, oh, you know, the Panthers will end up moving because they don't get the support. Well, that's not our fault. You know, and Vinny Viola and Doug Seafor are doing an awesome job, and it finally looks like they've figured it out. But for many years, the Panthers haven't gotten that kind of support because they don't deserve it. Because they don't win. They don't get to the playoffs. They don't do anything in the playoffs. And it's been like that for 20 years. So I always laugh at people that would bring it up to me. Well, you know, the Marlins this or the Panthers that, and maybe they should move. This town doesn't deserve it. They don't support them. And I'm like, well, why should they get supported? They don't win. They don't do anything. And in the Marlins case, they do everything to piss people off. And they don't trust anybody. And so why would anybody want to support them? That makes no sense. Now, hopefully, Jeter and Sherman, they're building up the farm system. They got some young guys up. Hopefully, they start keeping those young guys and signing them to long-term deals down the line. And that stadium will have a great crowd. And the Panthers now, I think with Bill Zito, I think they've figured it out. And they're a tougher team now. I think now you'll see the crowds get better over the next couple of years. But it's up to the Panthers. They've got to find a way to have success. So the Minnesota people, you know, they hear that their team's moving to Seattle. And I don't blame people in Minnesota. It's because you've had a shitty owner for so long that your team never wins. It's not the fans' fault that the T-Wolves have been an absolute disaster. Sometimes fans are giving the franchise what they deserve, dude. And that franchise doesn't deserve any kind of love whatsoever. They've been terrible. You don't move a team because your owner's incompetent. Now, if your owners are competent, your product is great or good, and it gets to the playoffs and has winning records and it even wins titles, and you're not getting support, then we've got a problem. But if you're constantly never doing anything, then why would you expect fans to... You know, I've said this for many years now. Those days are long gone where you had the blind faith in your team and you supported them no matter what they did. That just doesn't happen anymore, man. So it's funny to me that A-Rod would screw it up with J-Lo, and then now apparently he's screwing it up also with the Minnesota Timberwolves and his ownership group, which, again, there's a part of me that's kind of happy because I don't think Minnesota fans should lose their basketball team because their front office sucks, because they don't have the people to run the front office the right way and get the right coaches and win. Why would I blame the fans for that? Why am I going to blame you that the Panthers don't get over the hump for over 20 years? Why am I going to blame you because Jeffrey Loria is a total scumbag? I'm not going to blame you for that. I'm going to say the team needs to move because of that. That's a bunch of crap. Anyway, we did 2 hours, man. Pretty good. Not bad. Not bad to do a little 2 hours there. And we thank you all out there, as always. Appreciate every one of you for, supporting us. David says, all true, but back in the 90s and early 2000s, when you could always pencil in the Dolphins for 10 wins. Local TV had to buy tickets to ensure local TV blackouts were lifted. Yes, you are correct, sir. But you're also talking about a stadium that was too big for our town, and it was one of the biggest stadiums in the NFL. So it was a lot harder to sell out. Meanwhile, RFK had less than 55,000, I believe. And the Orange Bowl was like 77, and Joe Robbie was like 75, and that's a big-ass stadium for us, man. It's a big-ass stadium for us. And I know you want to say, well, that's an excuse. Well, man, listen, there were lots of stadiums that were smaller than 75, lots of stadiums that were in the 50s and the 60s, and Miami would have sold those out. But 75 was a lot. Now they have no problems because they eliminated the corners now. They eliminated 15,000 seats. So they make it a little easier to get to a sellout at this point. And by the way, they sell out now. They're either sellouts or almost close to sellouts. If you look at the attendance over the years here, and they've been a bad product for many years, it goes both ways, David. Go look at the last 10, 15 years. The attendance for a shitty team has been really, really, really good. Okay? I can even look it up for you within seconds here. Here we go. NFL attendance stats. And let's go with 2015. Okay? Watch. Where are we at here? Miami is 17 at 67,000. 97%. Okay? New England 66, Pittsburgh 64, Tampa Bay 61, Cincinnati 61, Las Vegas 54, Minnesota 52, Los Angeles 52. So, there you go. That's 2015. Let me go to 2010. Okay? Where was Miami? Miami was 16th. 16th at 67,000. Do you know where Tampa Bay was? 49,000. Los Angeles, 52. Vegas, which was Oakland in those days, 46. Cincinnati, 60. Chicago, 62. Arizona, 62. So Miami had more. And by the way, Miami was also 90%. Let me see. Wait a minute. Is it 90? No, 95.4% of capacity. So, I mean, you're talking about a team that is still they're in the middle of the pack. So half the league is worse than them in drawing fans to the stadium. I think that stuff is kind of overblown. I don't think people realize that Miami's pretty damn good when it comes to attendance, considering what you've got in the last 20 years. Okay? So they had a stadium that was way too big and RFK sold out every year, or Jack Kent Cook Stadium, and they were like a 55,000 max now. And now they have to tarp off their stadium. Okay? There are stadiums that get tarped because they can't put butts in seats. But it's a bad product. See, I don't have problems with fans not showing up to bad products. If you have a bad restaurant, you don't go. So why the hell should you support a bad football team, a bad baseball team, a bad basketball team, a bad hockey team? Why? Why should you have to buy tickets? Why should you have to sell out? And if you're in if you're at 85% and your team sucks, well, then you're not a very good consumer. You should be under 50%. That's what your team deserves. And over the last 20 years before these guys took over, the Dolphins didn't even deserve crowds of 25,000. Okay? So they were getting pretty damn good crowds. Better crowds than they deserve. Put it that way. So I'd give Miami fans a little more credit than they deserve on this one by some folks. George says, welcome back, Big O. Great job, buddy. Haven't skipped a beat. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. We've been only off for a couple days. Now, not the podcast, but, we've been doing shows long enough. I didn't want to, because I obviously did not do much last week. And I put out the one show just for the heck of it. But this time I felt like we, got to start getting this thing going again and start posting the podcast. But I appreciate all of you out there, man. I really do. Charles says, thanks for a great show today, Big O. Corporate time-stealing weasel is out. Thank you, sir. David says, true, but a lot of fans is visiting fans, flying in on vacation, November, December, making way too much noise. David, my brother, most people aren't me in this town. I'm born and raised in Belle Glade, Florida. Born in Belle Glade, raised in Little Havana, raised in Hialeah and West Kendall. Okay? Most people are from New York and New Jersey and Chicago and other parts of the country. Most people are from other countries. They're from Nicaragua, Venezuela, Cuba, Puerto Rico, you name it, Haiti. Do you know how many immigrants we have in this country that probably don't follow any of the pro sports? And if they do, they may end up liking other teams. And do you know how many... We're the sixth borough, dude. Do you know how many people we have living here? I'm the minority, David. We're a transient town. We're not a town where everybody was born and raised here and everybody loves the local teams. People like me, I know some of you that are watching and listening on the podcast, whenever you're downloading, you're like me. But we're the minority, David. You make it sound like most of the people are Miami fans. And that's just not true. It's just not true. So don't conveniently just say the people that are visiting, the people that live here aren't from here. They don't support our teams. They don't back our teams. And very few people are like yours truly, born and raised, real Floridians. Very few people. We are the minority in this town. Most people you talk to, oh, no, I'm from Chicago. Oh, I'm from Kansas City. Oh, I'm from New York. I'm from New Jersey. I'm from Boston. That's what I run into more often than not. Hear the accent. Okay, not from here. So don't forget that we're an incredibly huge transient town. So we lose a lot of fans right from the get-go. We're not, 6 generations deep of loving the Yankees. It's not us. It's just not us. That's not how we roll here. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately. But that's the reality. Nobody wants to say it. Nobody wants to talk about the real reality of what South Florida is. Why do you think the U.S. national team can come here and they'll get decent attendance? Now, you bring Colombia and Argentina, and the place is jam-packed. Marlins baseball won't attract a damn thing. Bring the World Series of baseball, and what happens, David? Every Dominican comes out of the woodwork. Every Puerto Rican comes out of the woodwork. Every Venezuelan comes out of the woodwork. Can you get them to go see the Marlins? Hell no. Hell no. But they'll come see their Mets, and they'll come see their Yankees, and they'll come see their Cubs. Oh, yeah. Can't stop them from seeing their Red Sox. Oh, don't forget, dude. Okay? We are a transient town. And we have a lot of people that don't give a crap about our local teams or don't give a crap about our national team. Okay? That's why international games will do better in soccer. It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts, but that's the way it is. Okay? Born and raised in Hialeah, now live in Pembroke Pines. Not many of us. That's right, Omar. There's not many of us, man. Let's see. Only thing I remember in Miami is the fact that many of the fans are there for the opponent who doesn't want to travel to South Florida in November and December. Exactly. There's a lot of them. And a lot of them live here. You know? So it's not so simple. You know what I'm saying? Wow, we reached 103 likes on our first day. That is absolutely, freaking awesome. Thank you all out there, man. Tremolio says, you might see a lot of Samoans soon in Miami with Tua here. I dated a Samoan lady once. Okay. Sergio says, hey, those fans make a ton of dough. Thanks, suckers. And you know what? Thank all of you out there for my watch is already charged. Thank you all out there for tuning in. As always, I appreciate the support here on the podcast. We did 2 hours and 12 minutes with no commercial breaks. Basically, we did it like maybe a 4-hour show, right? I mean, if you had commercial breaks, probably about 3.5 hours. Yeah, that's about a 3.5-hour talk show right there without commercials. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? I love it. Anyway, thank you all out there. I appreciate you, as always, for keeping it locked here. If you missed any of it, you can rewind. We will podcast this stuff too, so you'll get to hear that also. Appreciate it as always. You all be good out there. We will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Hasta mañana. And thank you all for super chatting and supporting us and hitting that like button. Love you all. Okay? And yes, we are ending.